Thank you for sticking. Thank you for sticking with us. The rest of the meetup will be much more pleasant to watch. And I think we
Depends on
should,
perspective.
if you want to know what happened, you have to ask somebody who was here from the beginning. Anyway, I'm Elizabeth Gearhart,
Oh,
and Stacy Sherman and I are leading this. My husband and I have a radio show and podcast. I'm very interested in the podcasting community. Stacy and I started this meetup so that we could get people together who like to podcast and also learn a lot. So welcome, Stacy.
Yes, hello, Stacy Sherman. I have a podcast for 3 years now called Doing CX Right, and love the whole content creation world and how you can build a business from podcasting and related passions. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
hi, Warren Miles-Pickup. I'm the owner of Marketing Motivators, Pixel True, Pixel Copy, and Pixel Publishing. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about monetizing your content and for podcasters, how you turn this into a business.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kay Allison. I am an entrepreneur, and I help creative entrepreneurs be seen, be heard, and be paid.
Nice. So Warren's going to kick it off, and here we go.
Sounds great. Thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about monetizing your content. So moving beyond clicks. For most podcasters, it's a challenge to turn the creation of content into something that you can actually turn into a business. So a little over 94% of podcasts actually fail. They fail to upload more than 3 episodes, and they significantly fail to monetize the content that they're producing. And so what I wanted to do today was talk to you a little bit about some methodology for taking the intellectual property and all of the knowledge that you gain, creating this content and building your podcast and turning it into an actual business. And so we'll go through that. So, a little too far. What you'll hear a lot in the industry right now is that podcasts are having a profound impact with listeners and are building a lot of trust and loyalty from those people that listen to their podcasts. More than 75% of podcast listeners are reporting that they feel more connected to a podcast host. This tends to be because they're hearing the true voice and a real conversation from podcasters rather than something that has been pre-prepared and scripted, and they're able to connect with those individuals a lot more. In addition to that, the podcast hosts are getting way more time to connect with their listeners, on average 30 to 40 minutes per episode, which is a lot of time to get a message, to get a belief, to get an opinion across to your audience. You look at podcasts like the Joe Rogan podcast or any like that, and they have a huge impact and have been driving, even in recent elections, motivation and the desire to behave in a specific way. In addition, there's a much more authentic connection because you're having those real unscripted conversations. And then a lot of podcast listeners are saying that they're much more likely to consider buying a product or a brand that has been referenced in a podcast that they trust, because there's that inherent level of transferred trust between the brand and the consumer. If somebody is willing to stand up and say that they believe in a brand, it's a big part of the reason that the influencer or user-generated content marketplace is booming right now, is because that trust transfers from the host to the brand or the product. The problem, though, is that a lot of podcasters are restricting themselves in terms of where they can generate revenue. They're focused on ads and sponsorship, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But the 4 main problems that I see for podcasters is they have a lack of a clear path. So it isn't clear where their listeners need to go in order to purchase some type of a product or engage with the host in a way that they can pay the host for what they're doing. they have a very limited product offering. So they may only be offering ads or sponsorship on their podcast, and they're not taking all of that knowledge and turning it into something that is an actual product that they can then sell. They have missed engagement opportunities. So they're focused on only engaging with their audience through their podcast rather than creating multiple streams of communication. And they're completely overwhelmed by the amount of tools that are available to them and all of the different things that they have to do, like posting on all the different social media platforms or utilizing different CRM tools and all that sort of stuff. And so they tend to be completely overwhelmed by everything they need to do.
But you have a solution for that.
I do.
Yes.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about the problem though first, before we jump into that, because I think it's really important to understand what the roadblocks are so that you can get to where the solution lies. So with a lack of clear path, a lot of people are engaging with podcaster content, but they're not converting. They're not taking that next step in order to purchase something. They're missing out on a huge amount of the value that a podcaster or the audience or the guests of that podcast can create for them. And they tend to stay casual viewers rather than actually moving into becoming customers or clients of the podcaster. In addition to that limited product offering, those podcasts are keeping it to ads or sponsorships on their podcast. They're not necessarily going out and creating all those different monetization opportunities, whether it's webinars or courses or ebooks, or, there's a huge amount of knowledge that you take in as a podcast host by speaking to all of your guests. And you can then take all of that and turn it into some type of product that can then go out to your audience that is coming to you for your authenticity and for the knowledge that you have in speaking to all these guests. On top of that, you have a lot of missed engagement opportunities by only focusing on communicating through the podcast. And great, that's where a lot of people will have found you, but you need to take it to other networks, other mediums in order to retain that attention. You have to speak to them in a lot of different ways. On average, it takes somebody 7 times hearing a message before they're actually ready to take action on it. And so you have to ensure that you're sending the messages in a lot of different ways. The number one thing that I see from podcasts that they're missing is capturing an email address. And the reason for that is because it's very difficult to capture that email address. You're communicating with them in a method that doesn't necessarily provide you with their email address every time they do a download or every time they stream you on Spotify. So you have to create something inside of your podcast that is going to drive them to engaging with you. And we're going to come back to that in a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to clarify, because some people are not traditional podcasters or YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want them to understand this is the same principle.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Anybody who is creating content where you're not capturing the information from the individual, whether that's YouTube or TikTok or anything like that, this pertains to all of that. In addition, most people don't have a follow-up strategy. They don't have a way, once they've told their audience to buy something, to go to a certain website, there's no way for them to go and ensure that has taken place. They don't have a methodology for following up with people that have now become leads rather than just audience members. And you're really losing that potential for a much deeper connection if you're not communicating with them on multiple platforms.
Can we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some questions. Do you want to take questions in real time, or do you want to take them all at the end?
Well, it's just the question is about, I can't read it from here, but I just
Stephen,
wanna make
can
sure. Okay.
Will this recording be shared with us?
Okay.
Well, if you're nice,
Yeah.
yes, we
So-
will share it.
As
Yes.
long as nobody puts any more annotations on the screen,
Yeah.
you can
Yes.
probably share it.
All right. So let us know when more questions come. 'cause
I see the people looking confused here. There
Uh-huh.
was some really nasty pictures put on at the beginning by
Yeah.
somebody.
So, and in addition, digital marketing tends to overwhelm people because there are so many aspects of it. Whether you're having to make blog posts or different social media posts or creating reels and shorts and TikToks and all these sorts of things, it can be completely overwhelming to figure out how you're going to engage with all of the different individuals. And so what I'm going to talk a little bit next is how you go from tuning in to buying in. Okay. So how do we create that clear path to conversion? How do we expand your product offering? How do you make sure that you're engaging with them where they want to be engaged with, and how do you streamline that marketing strategy? So the first step.
Can I
Yep,
just say something real quick?
Of
I
course.
just want to reinforce what you're saying a little bit,
Yeah.
because I've been studying podcasting and listening to YouTube videos, and every single thing I hear is give your audience what they want.
Mhm.
And that's what you're saying, is
Yeah.
find where they are and give them what they want.
Because your audience is there to learn something, right? They are looking to get value from you. And so podcasting is the ultimate form of value first marketing, because in most cases you're not going to receive anything back from the audience. You might receive something from a sponsor or from an ad or anything like that, but you're driving value to these individuals because you want to share it. And so, what you're trying to do is give them the information that they need to make their lives better in some format. And what we're trying to showcase here is how you can continue to do that, but turn it into a business at the same time. So it's not just a practice of giving to a community or a practice of charity. This is how do you treat podcasting, YouTubing, whatever it may be, as an actual business? How do you start to generate revenue from it in a way that is going to allow you to not be one of those 94% of podcasters that fail?
Because if you're not making money from it, it's a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah. And not that it's a bad hobby to have by any means, but if you want to do this as an actual profession, you have to have a way to generate income for yourself, like you would as a salaried employee. And so my methodology for this is something called a product staircase. So essentially what you're doing is you're creating a series of steps for somebody to engage with you and know exactly the clear path that they're going to take to get the most value from you. So they're going to start with something like your podcast, your blog, your social media, whatever it may be. It's going to be some form of value that they've gotten on a free basis. Okay, and then you're going to engage with them to create what's called a low ticket offer. So it's a very inexpensive, product. It may be a guide, an ebook, a physical book, anything like that. And it's going to be something that it costs them very little to build that trust with you. And as long as they're continually getting value out of every engagement that they have with you, every product that they buy, they're going to want to move up that product staircase. They're going to move from low ticket to mid ticket to high ticket, because you're always giving them a higher ROI than what you're receiving as the producer of that product. Okay. So the key to this is understanding how you're going to transfer somebody from one point to the other. So low ticket offers, some examples might be, we've talked about them, ebooks, they could be a webinar, it could be a workshop, those sorts of things. It's a way for somebody between typically $5 to $70 for them to be able to purchase something from you and move forward, receiving value from that product. Once you've done that, you want to capture their email address. You want to continue to engage with them and offer them value, whether it's through the podcast or through additional emails that shows them how they can move forward with continuing to get value from you. So these are going to be mid-ticket offers, something like a group coaching session, a workshop in person or digital. It's going to give you the opportunity to drive even more value to those individuals than you were in the low ticket offers. And then you're going to move to your high ticket offers, which are things like courses, their products like one-on-one coaching, or depending on what topic you happen to be podcasting about, it's going to be about specifically solving a problem that they have. Think of low ticket, mid ticket, and high ticket as low ticket is DIY. So that's for the people that want to solve their problem for themselves. They're looking for information from you so that they can go and solve that problem. Mid ticket is done with you. So they're looking to purchase something from you that is going to be a collaboration between you and them in helping them to solve that problem. And then high ticket offers are done for you. It tends to be where you're getting your hands dirty, getting involved with them to help them to solve that actual problem, or doing it directly for them. Once you've kind of laid out what your different offers are, then you're going to create on-ramps. So this is about creating all those different opportunities for somebody to engage with you through all the different methodologies of you getting your content and your information out there. So this could be different platforms of social media. It could be doing vlogs and email marketing and all the different methodologies that you can communicate with people based on where it is that they want to be communicated with. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but you want to be meeting your audience where they are, not where you want to be, because everybody consumes media in different formats. Some people are very visual. Some people want to read. Some people want to hear it. I know I can't pick up a book to save my life. I find it really dull. I want to listen to it as an audiobook. And so, those books that are on Audible or those sorts of things are going to get a lot more buyers from people like me that want to listen to things while they're doing everything else. You have to take the content that you're creating and repurpose it in different formats for different people based on how they consume. So building out a content repurposing plan is a very important part of building a successful business.
How do you get all that done?
Well, there's different tools. And so, talking about automating the client journey, there's tools like Descript, which is a great AI-based tool for taking your content that you have, transcribing it and then turning that into an article, or then cutting it up into short form content. So, 30 to 60-second clips. Hiring somebody to do it is usually helpful because we've only got so much time in the day.
I think that's the best answer.
But I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest challenges is that a lot of podcasters don't treat their podcast like a business,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
If you have 8 hours in a day, like you would working a traditional business, you can get a lot of stuff done in that 8 hours. You can do video editing, you can do your audio editing, you can create emails, you can do all of that. But if your intention is to only spend 2 hours a day on it, you have to hire somebody in order to take over those other 6 hours that you're not doing something,
I agree.
right?
And you can get people on Fiverr and Upwork. and
Absolutely.
super-
Yeah. Or you can talk to companies like mine.
Or talk to an agency like yours and get it done right
Yeah.
the first time. Yeah.
So one more thing, some of our audience are not podcasters yet.
Yeah.
Right? So for those listening, where do they take their business, whether they're a coach, whether they're a realtor, whether
Yeah.
they're right? How did they begin this staircase?
Yeah. Start simple, right? Start with content creation. And then build out from there. Choose what platform is going to be the most likely to be engaged by your ideal client profile. So I would always say, before you start anything, understand who it is you're speaking to, right? You need to have an avatar that identifies who that person is. So think of one particular person in your life who represents that avatar and pretend like you are speaking to that exact person and you are trying to solve their exact problems. What you will find is that person, as unique as they are, is actually a part of a massive group, right? And when you've done that and you've created content that is tailored to a particular individual or particular group, people will run towards it because the passion towards solving that particular set of problems will drive people towards it. And so they should start with that. Figure out, once you have that ideal client profile, figure out where it is that they like to consume content. Are they a LinkedIn individual? Do they spend most of their time on Instagram? Do they follow a news source that happens to be specific to their career? Whatever it may be, start producing it for that particular person in that particular place, and then build out all the other aspects from there. But don't forget that the most valuable asset you will get from these people is their email address. By
Right.
far. That will create the highest ROI out of anything you do in your podcast or YouTube or TikTok business, is capturing that email address so that you can continue to communicate with those people directly, and you're not at risk of losing your audience because of a change in algorithm, because of change in rules, all that sort of thing. You need to own your
There's
audience.
a question.
Yeah.
Email address over telephone.
Ooh, that's
Repeat
yeah.
the question.
So the question was email address over telephone number. And if you can get their cell phone number, that's
tough.
fantastic, because the open rates on SMS messaging is way higher. But you typically have to offer significantly higher value before you're going to get that exchange for somebody's cell phone number. If you can get it, by all means, do that. But it's a lot easier to perform the transaction of getting their email address. Yeah.
So-
Email address is the highest, so.
Yeah. So Warren, I had a quick question on that. So I've heard for years through
Yeah.
my research that email marketing is still the best return.
Absolutely.
So getting that's why the email addresses are so important.
Yeah. And SMS is becoming even more so.
Like, I just want, I'm so bombarded. The texting is like so invasive.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why, like, I think most people still would prefer,
Agreed. And it does feel
Repeat.
invasive.
Repeat
Sorry.
for the
Um,
people.
We had somebody in the audience here mention that that texting feels a bit more invasive rather than email. And email tends to be where a lot of businesses stay because of that feeling, and there is a brand risk around the text, particularly if it's bulk text messaging. But I think people are going to move more towards understanding that they're going to get business messaging over SMS rather than over email. And if we're being frank and candid, the whole point is to get opens, is to get somebody seeing it. And if you've got an open rate that is 9 times as high on SMS to email, if you're a business, you want to move towards where you're going to get the most eyeballs. And I totally appreciate the hesitancy. I'm hesitant to do it as well. But from a pure, math revenue generation perspective, SMS is going to give you a really high ROI.
There's another question.
Yeah.
I really think it depends is the answer. And I think that as a marketer for over 30 years, the answer right now is it's a combination, right?
Yeah.
Like you just said, hit them 7
Yeah.
times, hit them 7 times in different places, and not everyone, to your point, a lot of people do find it invasive. So if you could figure out where people want to be spoken to,
Yeah.
a little bit of that is trial and error. So it's your question.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. Yeah. It is the highest ROI. We've got a couple of questions and I'll come back to them in a second.
We had someone in the chat say they were also sick of text messages.
Yes.
But someone else, Suzette asked.
Yeah, they have 20,000 followers on TikTok and have not been able to convert them to listeners or buyers. Kay will talk a lot more to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about it in a second. Actually, what you're going to see from me is a challenge, and I'm going to teach you in the challenge exactly how to do that. And so we'll come to that in a second. But Marketing Motivators is my firm. It's kind of the top of the funnel, if we're speaking candidly about marketing, for all of my other agencies. So a design agency, a copywriting agency, and a book publishing agency. So Marketing Motivators is myself and my business partner, as well as a number of employees, where we help people to understand the strategy behind doing these sorts of things. And then we have teams at our different agencies, a design agency, a copywriting agency, that implement all of this stuff for the clients that we work with. What we do is help people to create those products, low ticket products, mid ticket products, and the high ticket products, so that they can then go out and have something to sell to their audience, so that they can generate that revenue. The idea is to create a full funnel and then create a system of automation that allows you to walk away and not have to manage all of this, so that you can focus on what you love doing, which is creating that content. And so as a part of that, I'll tell you my exact funnel for this conversation, because if I'm telling you to do it, I should be doing it for myself. So essentially, I'm going to share a valuable process, which is what I've just talked to you about, is creating a low ticket offer that you can then create a lead magnet for, to get their attention, capture their email address, sell them on a low ticket, then move them up to a mid ticket, then move them to the high ticket. So you're going to get a QR code from me, which is going to have a valuable asset for you that's going to teach you how to do something. Then you're going to get emails from me that are going to say, hey, if you like this, is there something else I can do for you to help you improve your business? And then you're going to engage with me. And if you continue to like it, if you're seeing that value, you're going to move up that product staircase with me until eventually you're working one-on-one with me. That's how it works. And so the next step is a content monetization challenge. If you use your phone right now to capture this QR, it's going to take you to a page that's going to tell you about a challenge that I have built. It's a 5-day challenge that will help you to monetize your content. Okay. It will walk you through how to create a low ticket offer, how to create a lead magnet that you can share with your audience in order to get them to buy that product, and so that you can capture their email address so that you can continue to market to them, what daily tasks you're going to do, and then how to launch it. And so all of that is going to be in an email series over the next 5 days if you sign up, and you'll be able to do all the things that I'm talking to you about right now. In addition, for anybody that would like to, is that image not going to load?
Oh, come
Oh,
on.
that's too bad. I'll share it afterwards, but there was supposed to be a QR code there. Epic fail. That would take you to a link to book a meeting with me if you'd like. And for anybody that books a meeting with me in the next 48 hours, that is to take place in the next month, I'll offer 36% off any of our services. People say, why 36%? Because I have 3 daughters. One's 10, one's 12, one's 14. That equals 36. Why don't I offer more off? Because I have 3 daughters. And I brought one of them to New York with me. So that's an expensive venture.
So Warren,
Yeah.
I can put this in the email that we send out
Absolutely.
as a recap. Would still
Yeah.
be good, like 48 hours after
Yes.
the email goes
Yeah.
out, because that'll probably be next week that it goes out.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So if you didn't capture it now, people that
Yeah.
have registered for this meetup will get the
Exactly.
opportunity.
Exactly. And so essentially, what I've talked about for the individual that was talking about 20,000 followers on TikTok, you need a lead magnet. You need something that takes them off of TikTok to value that you are offering, whether it is a guide, an ebook, tips and tricks. It needs to be a digital product that they can download quickly. And it's an exchange of value. You're giving them something that they need to solve a problem. And in exchange, you're getting their email address. Then once you have their email address, you're going to market to them based on things that you know their client profile has problems with. It is all about offering value. If you don't offer value in those first 5 emails you send to somebody, you will lose them immediately. Those first 5 emails have to be all about, how do I make your life better? Okay, exactly what you are currently doing. That's the idea. Is you have to, this is value-based marketing at its core. You're trying to drive value for somebody else so that they see an ROI in doing business with you, in relating to you, in having anything to do with you. And if you do that, they're going to want to continue that relationship, and they're going to want more return from you. And they can only do that if they start paying you. But as long as their ROI is a minimum of 3 times what you're getting from them, they're going to keep coming back time again, every time.
How many podcasters do you think are doing this right now?
Oh, very few. I mean, there's 3.6 million podcasts out there. And if you think 94% of podcasts fail, I would say less than 300,000 are probably doing this really well. And there's more and more podcasts every day because businesses are getting into this and they're realizing we can showcase value to our ideal client profile by talking to them about the things that we do. There's a very big movement towards building in public right now, right? Show us how you're going to solve our problem. We want to see everything that's behind the scenes. And so having a podcast for your business allows you the opportunity to really do that build in public. You can showcase all of the different things that you're doing behind the scenes so that your customer feels a much deeper connection with you and your brand than if they're just seeing the product on the shelf.
Wow. That was worth the whole meeting right there.
Well, thank you. But Kay's got even better stuff for you.
I don't know that it's better.
Oh, absolutely.
Very complimentary.
All right. Well, you want to introduce your Kay?
Okay.
All right.
Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kay Allison. I flew in from Boulder, Colorado, where I have 1.5 feet of snow at my house.
Wow.
But I do love to ski. Before I get started, I would love to know who you are. So I'm going to ask a series of 3 questions. And those of you on Zoom, if your answer to one of my questions is yes, would you either raise your electronic hand or come off of not having your video on and wave at me? Okay, so my first question is this. Are you a podcaster? If you are, would you raise your hand? Are you a podcaster? What does it look like on Zoom? Can you help me up there, Steve?
People are raising their hands. You could chat yes too.
1, 2,
Some
3,
people
4,
are not
5,
launched
6,
yet.
7.
Planning
Yeah.
on it. Yes, I am.
Okay. So a little, maybe half of us. Who's a YouTuber? Anybody here a YouTuber? Okay, a little less enthusiasm about YouTubing.
Who wants to see themselves on YouTube?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic.
Hmm.
Fantastic. All right. So my last question, you can take your electronic hands off. My last question is, are you a content creator? Who identifies as being a content creator? Okay. Okay, maybe a third identify as content creators.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
More yes.
I
Oh,
think
fantastic.
probably most people here are.
Look, the reason why I asked you this is because, as Warren just said, if I don't know who you are, how do I know that what I'm planning to say is actually going to be of service to you, is actually going to be valuable to you? And so thank you for sharing that information with me, because it shows me how to customize my remarks
Mhm.
so they're actually going to land with you and be useful to you. What I really want to find out is, what's your foil wrapped potato?
You might
Okay,
give us
I'm
the
not sure. I know
Let me
what's
tell
happening.
you.
I think we saw that at the very beginning.
Yeah, there you go. Was it foil wrapped though?
No, it wasn't wrapped at all.
Tee-hee. Here's what I mean by that. In a former life, I worked with global companies, Fortune 200 companies with iconic brands like Kleenex, Kraft, Mac and Cheese, and United Airlines. And I worked with them to do for them what I just did here, to help them understand who their customers were and who their potential customers were, how those people experienced the world and how they made sense out of it. And from those insights, I helped them create new products, new business models, and product innovations that still today make them an additional $2 billion in top-line revenue. On behalf of one of these giant food companies, I did a research project. They thought that they had their marketing figured out across the company, but what they knew they didn't know was how grocery shoppers thought about their brand versus other brands in the grocery store. And so I designed a study where I went grocery shopping with all kinds of people all over the country in all kinds of grocery stores. I want to tell you a story about Emily. She was a mid-20-something. She had just moved into her first apartment in downtown Chicago, brand new high-rise that had a cute little patio that overlooked the Chicago River and a little Weber grill on the patio. And when I met her at the Kroger store in Chicago, she was so excited because she needed to buy food to have her inaugural grilled dinner with her boyfriend that night. So we got, those little carts with the upper basket and the lower basket, because it's such a cramped little urban grocery store. We push it through the vegetable and the fruit, and we come to the potatoes, and she stops. There were Idaho potatoes. In the bin on the left, there were regular sized, naked, like just plucked from the ground Idaho potatoes. They were about 79 cents a pound. They're like kind of like that. You can get about 3 of those in a pound. So, I'm not really good at math, but I did this calculation earlier. It's about 26 or 27 cents a potato. But right next to it in the bin adjoining was another stack of the same Idaho potatoes, but the ones on the right were wrapped in aluminum foil with a giant sticker that said, "Great for grilling," with a bunch of exclamation points. They were $2.50 each. $2.50 each. $2.50 or 26 cents. She picked up 2 of them, the foil wrapped ones, and stuck them in her grocery cart. And we continued on. She bought pre-made veggie skewers, and she bought pre-made hamburgers and hamburger buns and potato chips and Coca-Cola and a whole bunch of stuff. Checked out, we got back to her apartment, and as I did with every single consumer, as she took the things out of her bag, I, being a neutral moderator, said with no inflection at all, "Can you help me understand how you made that choice? What were you thinking about?" And she pulls out the potatoes, and I asked her the question, and she said to me, "It says great for grilling." Like, you moron. And I say, "Well, how do you think that potato is actually different than the potatoes that were right next to it?" And she goes, "What potatoes?
Ah.
What potatoes?" And I realized in that instant that she went through the grocery store with lenses on. Her identity was, "I am a griller." And she looked for things that said, "Hey, I'm for the grill." That's what she bought. She bought the pre-made burgers. Guess what they said? Great for the grill. She got the pre-made veggie skewers. Guess what they said? Great for the grill. And I realized, like, literally, she did not see the potatoes right next to her. She could have, for 50 cents, bought 2 potatoes with some aluminum foil on them and stuck them on the grill. But no, she spent $5 instead. 10x because of the way she saw the world. Now, what in the world does this have to do with podcasting? My question to you is, are you really a podcaster, a YouTuber, or a content creator? Or are you an entrepreneur who happens to have a podcast or happens to post on YouTube or happens to make content? See, the difference between a content creator and an entrepreneur is this. As my colleague Warren was just saying, podcasts create entertainment or they provide information. But an entrepreneur creates transformation in people. And the very definition of an entrepreneur is that you take someone, something, or some organization from this level to this level. But the trick is you have to understand how your audience sees this level. Because her problem wasn't, "I'm trying to save money." Her problem was, "I'm looking for something for the grill." Unless you can see the world through their eyes, you have no idea what they want from you. You have no idea. You have to find out. What transformation are they looking for? Because what we do as entrepreneurs is we create this magical transformational experience that takes you from here to here. So my foundational offer is I work with creative entrepreneurs to help them be seen, be heard, and be paid. Because too many content creators don't get paid. And why are you doing what you're doing if you're not going to get paid? I mean, I'm sorry, but like, come on. Okay, I have a really twisted relationship with money, but for me, it's like, oh, that's how I keep score, you know? So I like making money. I like to help and I like making money. There are a lot of people who like to help and God bless them, but they don't get paid. And then there are the marketing bros, the Russell Brunsons of the world that want to get paid and don't do a whole hell of a lot to help. Now, I think as a quality integrity entrepreneur, you need to have equal measures of both. I would submit to you, if you change your identity lenses that you go through the world with, if you shift them from being a content creator to being an entrepreneur, you will find more ways to be useful and to make money. Because when people pay money for you and your transformational experience, they value it much more than if you give it away for free. It's just the way it is. What I've seen in my clients that are content creators or podcasters is that there are moments of complete joy and ecstasy. Like I have something on TikTok right now that is going bananas. I posted it Sunday night. I have 380,000 views on it already. Like it's a blast. I'm getting these great comments and I'm getting all this influx of people interested in working with me. And it is so, my sales call calendar is booked, bursting at the seams. Really fun. But there is a downside to being a content creator that I've seen from my clients. And there's one that's really insidious. The obvious one is you inadvertently create a beast that you got to feed. If you're not creating content, you're not getting paid. If you're not creating content every day, your followers are going to go somewhere else. If you're not creating content, maybe they're going to go follow somebody else, or maybe they're going to get pissed at you and yell at you online. So it becomes this wearying treadmill. But the more insidious problem is this. It turns every single experience you have in your life into something where there is a screen over everything you do, which is you saying to yourself, would this make good content? And it separates you from being here now. You're not in the immediate present because you're worrying about content. And that is stealing your life from you, in my opinion. I want to tell you a story about a client that I worked with, this beautiful young woman whose name is Aubrey. She lives in Seattle and she's been an interior designer for about 15 years. She's probably 35, 38, something like that. She spent the first 13 years working for a kitchen design company. What she realized very early on was that the people, the homeowners that are going to remodel a kitchen, where they get into trouble is they don't know all the details they need to specify to their general contractor. And so the general contractor makes assumptions about how they want the sink installed, and it's not what they wanted. And so they have to rip it out and buy a new sink. And I mean, we've all had this experience, or we have all have somebody close to us who has had that experience. And it costs thousands or tens of thousands of dollars more than what you've bargained for. And so her idea very early on was, gosh, if I could teach these potential remodelers the literally 203 decisions they need to make before they start the process, I could help them save all of that money. And so she created a program, a 6-week-long program to take people through making those 203 choices. 1 week it's flooring, 1 week it's cabinetry, 1 week it's appliances, etc. She created this program 3 years ago, and she put out awesome content on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. These are the 3 things to think about when you pick a sink. I mean, beautiful content, beautifully shot, just beautifully done. Guess how much she sold in 3 years? What do you think? I'm going to tell you what she sold. Zip, zero, nada, nothing. You know why? Because she was giving information. She was not making an offer. She was not promising a transformation. She was only giving information. I taught her the difference, and in 3 days, she made $8,000. And she doesn't have to go back to work in a job for somebody else because she knew this difference. There are like 5 steps to an offer. So I studied ontological philosophy like 30 years ago, and it has transformed everything. So please bear with me while I kind of nerd out here for a little bit, okay? But an offer is based on me assessing that you need something. You look cold. And so I preemptively present you with something I could do to address what I sense is missing for you. Like, oh, could I get you your coat? Or would you like a blanket? Like, we've all done this, right? In order for an offer to be complete, you would need to say, yes, that would be great. And then I bring you your jacket and you say, thank you very much, right? So I am offering something that either needs to be accepted or rejected. You need to ask yourself while you're making your content, is this something someone needs to either accept or reject? Because that's what distinguishes what an offer is. My question to you is, do you know what's missing for your audience? What do they come to you hoping to learn that is going to fix something for them that is either broken, missing, or could be better? Seriously, I'm asking you a literal question. Please write it in the chat if you're on Zoom. And in here, like, what do you think? Do you have a podcast? I'm sorry to pick on you.
This is Jim Baroud. He
Hi,
is
Jim.
no, he is like major interviewer. Like he's
know your
beyond the
name.
pale. He's
Okay.
major entrepreneur in New Jersey.
Huge.
He's huge, although he doesn't look
Huge.
huge, but
I love
yeah.
that.
Okay. Do you have a podcast?
And who's your audience?
It's mostly the entrepreneurship, the innovation community, mostly in the region, but sometimes beyond.
Okay.
Repeat because they won't hear.
Oh, so I'm sorry, your first name is Jim?
Yeah, why don't you use my mic, Jim? Why don't you-
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth.
yeah. Better.
Let's try that again.
So my podcast interviews people about entrepreneurship, innovation, and sort of the ecosystem in general, mostly in the New Jersey region, but
Okay.
sometimes beyond.
Let me ask you this. Do you know what they would say is broken, missing, or could be better in their careers or their businesses?
Well, I know what entrepreneurs are typically struggling with, whether
Mm.
it's raising money or
Okay.
scaling their business.
Okay.
Innovators in corporates or nonprofits have a range of challenges, but I could probably identify some of them that are universal.
Okay. So how about the rest of you? Who online has, okay, I'm seeing, oh man, why can I not read this? Darienne Durazio. I've been away from my audience for 2 years. I'm a spiritual coach and a witch. And I'm not sure what they are needing now after everything that's changed. Right. I could take a guess, but I don't really know. Okay, I'm so glad that you said that. Okay. Here is, I'm going to tell you a few things. Let me just quickly share my screen. Can I share?
Yep, you should be able to.
Okay. So look, people pay for help in one of these 4 domains to either make money, to save money, like my friend Aubrey, to stay legal, meaning fit within regulatory concerns, or improve their life, make their lives better in some way. But I would submit to you, this one is the most dangerous one because it's so squishy.
Yeah.
Unless you can paint a picture of what success looks like, this one's really, really hard. I have a former client who is now an alignment coach, and I think to myself, who in the world is out there looking for an alignment coach? Like, that's not something that's a concern for me. But whatever, right? That's what I mean. That's like super squishy. Plant a garden that actually blooms all summer long. That's tangible. I can take a picture of that. That's what we want in that lower right quadrant. We want something we can take a picture of, a photograph of. Oh, wow, we have a lot of people wanting to talk. This is the way a story goes. And we tell ourselves stories inside our head to make the world make sense to us. What happens? There's a beginning or an exposition. Then there is a precipitating action. So think about Cinderella, right? She's working as a scullery maid for her stepmother and her stepsisters when all of a sudden the invitation to the king's ball arrives and the action starts. And then she does this, she does that, she does the next thing. That's the rising action. And then there's the climax, which is the resolution. She and the prince get married. And then there's the denouement, which is the happily ever after. So she, of course, goes on to become a shoe entrepreneur and builds an empire, as we all know. And I have questions for each one of these. Let me tell you what they are. I have 7 questions that unlock this story and set you up to make a powerful offer. The first one is, may I ask you a question for context so I can serve you better? If you ask someone permission to ask them questions, it is immensely disarming. By saying yes, they have agreed to engage with you on some level. So are you open to a conversation about how I might be able to serve you better? Then it's why now? Why are you listening to my podcast now? Why are you looking for an innovation agency now? Why are you looking for a packaging agency now? What happened? Because something happened. It's not like this issue popped up yesterday. It's always been there, but for some reason, it's now important. You want to find out what that is. Then the question is, what's the issue? What's the business issue? What's the problem? What's missing? What could be better? 4th question is, what's the consequence of not resolving that or not resolving that now? And then you go to the top, the climax part, and you say, what does success look like to you? How are you going to measure success for businesses? I'll ask, what's that worth to you? What's that worth to you in dollars and cents? Because my follow-up to that is, in what percentage of that are you willing to invest to achieve that level of success? And then my last question is, well, you're going to hear me make it. I'm going to make a TikTok here in a minute on it, is what's your checklist for picking somebody from the outside to help you with this?
That's a good one.
It's a really good one. Most people don't ask. You can ask, because every single company has a checklist they're using to pick a resource, an agency, or whatever. And even though we as individuals may not have a written out checklist, we have a mental checklist of what we're looking for and who we trust. And then you can see how your offer comes together. We know what their problem is and what the consequence of the problem is. We know their definition of success. We know all the crap that they've tried that hasn't worked. And then we have to package our transformational, magical experience so that they have something to buy. And that's what Warren was just talking about. Does that make sense?
We have somebody
It
that's
does.
asking you to repeat the questions.
Okay, question number 1. May I ask you a question for context? Question number 2, why now? Oh, I'll send you guys all a PDF of this. I'll get it to you, Elizabeth.
Oh, that'd be great. I can put it in the email.
Yeah, let's do that. Question 3, what's the issue at stake? Number 4, what is the consequence of not resolving this or not resolving it now? Question 5, what does success look like? How are you going to measure it? Question 6, what's that worth to you and what are you willing to invest to get there? Question 7, what's your checklist for hiring a coach, an agency, a consultant? Okay. And then the offer you're going to make is, I'm going to promise you this end result. I'm going to help you with this transformation, and here's how I'm going to get there. That's your offer. That's as simple as it can be. What are they asking now? I can't read
No,
it.
they're just repeating your questions. Somebody
Okay.
is doing
How great.
all the work for us. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yes,
Thank
we'll
you.
download the chat and we can,
Okay, let me show you how I make a TikTok. I have a TikTok that is blowing up at the moment.
oh, that's what we want to see. So first you have to do a TikTok account, right? So you have to have a handle. You have to come up with a name and have your account, right?
Yeah, but that's pretty easy
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Is
you
it
just-
easy?
Yeah, you just open up TikTok and it'll walk you through that.
Yeah, they don't make
You
it
have to-
hard. They do not make it hard. Okay,
Well,
this
that's
was
good
where
for-
I've checked this 5 times. So
Remember that show where you're smarter than a third grader?
There we go.
Okay, so, oh, I'm sharing.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yay.
Okay, so I am going to make a
Tech
TikTok.
skills. Can
uh,
somebody X off that thing along the top? I wonder.
Not really.
No? Okay. Never mind. Yeah.
Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to make a TikTok, a 1 to 2 minute TikTok that makes an offer, okay? And gets people started on the value staircase. Did I get that right?
Product staircase.
Product staircase.
But very close.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to establish my credibility, and I'm going to talk about my personal transformation, and then I'm going to tease part of my magical transformative experience that I sell my clients. Okay, so here we go. I went from being an undervalued creative employee to an entrepreneur making $6 million a year. And part of it was I used this one question that nobody else seems to be able to ask. Let me tell you what it is. Okay, so I teased. Now I'm going, and my hands are shaking, so
Do you want
people aren't going to be
hold your
happy.
phone?
No, because I want to change angles.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to introduce myself. Okay, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to make my offer, and I'm going to request that they take an action. So this is where the action part happens. Okay, ready? Hey, if you don't know me, my name's Kay, and I help creative entrepreneurs be seen, be heard, and be paid. If that sounds like something you'd like, please follow me. Okay, that's my call to action. Okay. So when I had my innovation agency, and now that I work with creative entrepreneurs, I ask this question: what's on your checklist for the agency you're going to pick, or the coach you're going to pick, or the consultant that you're going to pick? You know, you can ask what they're looking for and not just presume. I ran an ad agency pitch once where I asked this question for a big computer company. We were the only agency that asked, so we were the only agency that they gave the checklist to. It's like getting the test answers before you take the test. So make sure you ask when you're talking to a prospective client, what qualities are you looking for in a coach, if that's what you do. Okay, that's that. Now I'm going to add some titles, and I'm going to post it in like 30 seconds. I'm not going to take you through that part because that's not the sexy part. But did you see what I did? Like, I made an offer. I do this for creative entrepreneurs. Here's what I want you to do. And I tell them something that they don't know. I tell them something they don't know. I don't tell them something obvious. You can tell that I didn't get the script written by AI. This is based on my lived experience. It's intellectual property that I made up. And so I'm going to do the same thing Warren did, because what kind of example would I be if I didn't make you an offer? Okay, so that isn't sure.
Can you show us the viral clip before you leave?
Yeah, I will. Thank you for asking. Oh, by the way,
Yes.
please follow me. Do a girl a favor at K_company_creativity. In fact, why don't I just show that right now? What do we think about?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Give me a second. Let me just make this offer and then I will. Okay. Share screen. Okay, so I am helping people exactly like you crystallize what your offer is, or at least get to 2 or 3 alternatives at a workshop that I'm giving in 24 days. It's a 2-hour-long program. If I were offering this on the open market, I'd probably be charging $1,000 for it, just given my hourly rate. And I'm charging my followers $100. But because you guys are here and I like you, if you use the code MEETUP, you'll save 50%. And if you take a picture of the QR code, it'll take you to a registration page. Just use the discount code MEETUP. And at the end of it, you will have not only your offer created, but you'll also have access to a custom GPT that will take all of your content and help you discern what your offer could be from everything you've already created. Okay.
Wow, that's really cool.
It's a pretty sexy little GPT. It really is. I really, really love it. So let me finish editing my video, and then I will show you my, it's,
Oh,
Go
can you
ahead,
put it in the
type
chat?
yes, would
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna post this. Post. Okay, the video I just made is live. And now I'm gonna show you the one that
It's K
KAY
underscore
company_creativity. Thank you. All right. So let me share
That
this
was a great
again.
offer, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Isn't that
And
fun?
What you'll learn from really good marketers and salespeople is that they use heuristics when they're building an offer. You know, cognitive biases. Our brain has these shortcuts that we use for the decision-making process. And some of them are things like urgency and single option bias, and there's a number of them. And when Kay was making an offer, she hit on a number of those heuristics that are going to drive people towards taking action right away rather than deferring it. And if you were to, as an individual, if you were to try and look at everything completely agnostically and measure every impact it's going to have for you, the amount of points of data that you would have to take into account is just too much. And so your brain creates all of these these shortcuts to make a decision. And if you can build your offer utilizing heuristics, you're going to have a lot more people convert than if you're offering way too many things, or if you've got one option, or if you make it sound like this is forever, right? I gave you 48 hours to book a meeting with me. If I don't create urgency, you won't do it. The same thing when you're building offers for people, they have to take into consideration all these heuristics in order for them to be more successful.
Okay, I'm going to play my TikTok that now has 372,000 views. Oh, how are we going to do this?
Oh, the volume's not coming. Can you?
I'm thinking they hear it on the Zoom.
Can you hear it on Zoom? Oh, you can read let me tell you the 7 questions that allowed me to do that. Hey, if you haven't met me yet, my name's Kay Allison. I help creative thinkers in business make a lot of money. Okay, keep going. By packaging their magical transformational how. If you don't want to miss any tips, please give me a follow. My first question is the best question. This is what I just taught you guys. May I ask you a question for context? Because what clients usually come in asking for is just the superficial level of what's needed. They're not really disclosing what's burning underneath. So by asking permission to ask questions for context, when they say yes, then I can go find out what's underneath what they're asking me for. The pinching, burning, aching thing is. So I'll ask what business problem that you're trying to solve. That's question number 2. What's the business issue? And then I kind of romance the breakdown. Follow up with my third set of questions, which is, what's the consequence if this doesn't get resolved favorably? Consequence to the company, to the brand, to the team, to the organization, to you personally. Now, I've been told that doesn't sound very nice, but the benefit of it is that it gets my prospective client to focus on and gets them to understand what's really on the line for them. And they get that I'm there to protect them and help them. My next question is, what does success look like to you? Follow up to that is, what are the metrics of success? How will you know when you're there? And the next question is, what's that worth? What's that worth to the company? What's that worth to the brand? What's that worth to your career? And I'll ask, what percentage of that are you willing to invest? See how tricky that is? I'm now not pricing myself on a day rate or an hourly rate or what my competitors are pricing themselves at. I'm basing it on the value I'm creating for my client. The last fabulous question is, what are your criteria for the outside resource you're going to engage on this project? Because then I'm going to write a proposal that offers that I'll guide them to their measure of success. I'll help them avoid the consequences of their problems, and that I will do so in a magical, transformative experience that fulfills all their criteria for their ideal outside partner. That's it.
It's a lot of value.
Thanks.
Yeah. Where were you when you were
I
recording?
was in
that?
the airport.
Yeah, I was
So-
gonna answer.
So is that, does the background make a difference on TikTok?
Here's what I found on TikTok. What I found on TikTok is, for me, no, I don't have any rubric for anybody else, but for me, the fact that I don't wear a lot of makeup The fact that I have white hair and I'm not, I don't have big puffed lips and fake eyelashes, and I'm not dancing around lip syncing or unpacking my shopping haul from Shine.
But you could if you wanted to.
What people have told me is they're attracted to the fact that I seem very real and very authentic, and that I'm not real polished and real packaged, and that stands out in contrast to what a lot of other women tend to do on TikTok.
I have a question. So, and I will get to some questions on the in the Zoom. Some people are afraid just even of the technology, right? So what you did, I think it'd be valuable for people who haven't made a video yet. I mean, you said something, you then paused it.
I did.
And then are you using your phone camera? Like a
Yeah.
little bit of like, what is that? How'd you do it?
Yeah.
If you press the plus sign at the bottom of the screen, you can pick how long of a video you want to do. 1 minute, 10 minutes, a photo, whatever. And so I always put it on 10 minutes because I don't know how long I'm going to talk, because I don't script it, because this is what I know how to do, because I've been doing this for over 30 years.
And you're in your camera?
I'm in TikTok. I film
That's
it.
the important thing. Yes.
I film it in TikTok, and you can put the captions and all the rest of that stuff on top of it. Like I was reading along my captions. You can just do that on the first screen when you're done. I'll send you, I have a 16-minute TikTok tutorial because I have a lot of old friends and they want to know how to get on TikTok. But even my 34-year-old son, I had to teach him how to do TikTok. So
Yeah, I
I'll
think
give you that link too.
I think for a lot of people on new things like this, it's just getting started. Like I remember when Facebook came out, I was afraid to post anything because I didn't know who was going to see it or where it was going to go, or like how stupid I would look. Right? So
look, the entrepreneurs that I know that win, that make a lot of money, are the ones that take actions, even when they look stupid. I mean, if I waited until I looked great to make a TikTok, I would not think that I looked good enough to make a TikTok probably ever. And what I was encouraged to do by my coach at the beginning in June when I started on TikTok was make 3 a day for a week. And one of them took off, and I had 90,000 views, and I had 120 sales calls booked. It was nuts. Look, and since then, some days the algorithm loves me. Some days the algorithm couldn't care less what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll have 200 views. Now I have almost 400,000 views on a TikTok. It's ridiculous. But here's what I care about. I don't care about the likes. I don't really care about the views. I don't really care about the number of followers I have. I care about how many people come to my paid workshop. I care about how many people sign up to have sales conversations with me, how many of them are qualified, and how many of them join my coaching and community and course program. Because all the rest of that is vanity metrics, and who cares? Like really, who cares? I want to be of service to people, and I can't be of service to people unless they're in my world. And I'll give away everything I know on TikTok because people are going to look at that and they're not going to be able to do it themselves.
Yeah.
that's for sure.
People aren't going to be able to do it themselves. The rare person will do it themselves. But most people aren't going to be able to apply what I teach. And so I will teach absolutely everything I know on TikTok.
What about some people make their business on Instagram, or they have more followers on Instagram?
Sure.
For me, it's LinkedIn. So if you take your TikTok, are you able to download it and use it in other places?
Yeah, absolutely. I use repurpose.io.
that's a
But
good
what
one.
I'll say is, before this one went crazy, my admins were like, let's not do any of that until we have all our systems built out. So I just put this kind of innocuous TikTok up, and all of a sudden our systems are bursting everywhere because they're not well put together quite yet. But, rather have that problem than nobody giving a shit what I'm doing. Excuse me. But it's true.
Do you have that caption on all your videos?
I do. Yeah. I always have the red box at the top that has a headline, and then
Is that headline is a
Repeat.
it is a good one.
Repeat for the.
Oh, so the question was, do I always have the captions and the headlines? And yes, I always have them. I mix them up, but here's another weird thing about TikTok is you can tell how many of the people that have watched the video follow you. And about 99% of the people that have watched this video do not follow me or didn't follow me then. And so if I keep saying, I made $6 million, like I am so flippin' sick of saying that, but nobody,
Yeah.
like all the people, they're seeing me for the very first time. There are billions of people on TikTok. So even though I'm bored,
It's one of the biggest.
doesn't make
challenges.
any difference.
It's one of the biggest challenges a lot of content creators have is repeating their message. But the
Wow.
reality is you need to repeat it because you don't know who's going to be watching it. And it's going to take them 7 times before they're even going to consider taking action on it.
Well, I'm
So-
glad you said that because I post about this meetup on LinkedIn nonstop.
Yeah. And you should.
But-
You should continue to because there's value in it. And
Right.
frankly, if you believe what you're offering is of value to other people, why would you hold back in sharing it?
You
Right?
would-
You're doing everybody a disservice if you're not continuing to repeat something that you think is going to add value to somebody else's life.
Is there anything we need to capture from Zoom?
Yeah, I want to just see if there's, looks like there's questions if you want to
Yeah, I'm
help us.
scrolling.
A few of those are questions about repeating the questions
Yeah,
that Kay
there's-
had.
We see some hands raised.
Okay, so
I'm not sure if those are left over. from what I
yeah,
Uh,
Santu, do you have a question? Do you want to come off mute and ask your
I don't think
question?
anybody can come off of.
Yeah, I don't
the way
think-
We've said it.
Oh, I'm
But they
sorry.
can-
You
they can
can't,
type
you
it in
could
the
write
chat.
in the
Well,
chat.
they can put it in the chat. Yeah.
Forgive me. Yeah.
Okay.
And Carrie Monk, how about you? Is there something you want to ask?
I think we should read a very, very positive comment that you
Yeah.
got, Kay. Darian said, I'll tell you right now what is so appealing
Oh.
about you is your confidence coupled with the things you mentioned. It's inspiring.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That really makes my day.
And I love the red glasses.
Thanks. Yeah, be careful what you experiment with because all of a sudden they're your
Stay-
trademark.
Can't take them off.
I said hello to somebody at a speakers conference and he was like, and then I went like this. He goes, "Oh, Kay."
That's cute.
Well, it
Is
looks
that-
like it's got quiet. Well, yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions? Anybody?
Someone came up for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you were talking about just post things repeatedly, in my mind, what came up is you never know when the algorithm is going to take hold of something.
That's right.
You can
Right.
post the same thing 10 times and one of them goes viral just randomly. And
Yes.
so I guess my thought was like, how much do you consider the algorithm? How much do you try and take advantage of that? Or think about those considerations before you make a post?
Repeat the question.
So the question I think is, I was talking about the vagaries of the algorithm and that sometimes it likes content and sometimes it doesn't like the same content. Like my 7 questions, I have posted it now 3 times. The first time it got 90 something thousand views. The second time it got 500 views. And this time it's almost at 400,000. I mean, I'm sure, no, not the same video, but the same ideas. And so some of it's probably my energy, some of it's the time of day. Who knows? The other point that I want to put on this, though, is when my coach said to me, I really want you to be on TikTok, I said, that's ridiculous. My people are on LinkedIn. I mean, I told you my background and my pedigree. My people are on LinkedIn. He said, yeah, I know. I want you to get on TikTok. I'm like, Taylor, that isn't stupid. It isn't going to work. My people are on LinkedIn. I think you're not hearing me. And he said, I want you to get on TikTok. And I was like, oh, would you do 3 a day for a week and let's see what happens? I'm like, okay, this is never going to work. And boom, I mean, literally, I made 60 grand in coaching fees in 4 weeks. It was my first 4 weeks. Now, has it continued like that? No, but it's kind of a nutty thing when you have a powerful offer that lands with people, how social media can transform things so incredibly quickly.
Yeah. Well, before
Here's
we
another
go-
question.
Oh, before we go, I mean, we can still go to the next question, but I realized that there was something that we haven't addressed yet that we really, really have to address. We have sponsors for this meetup.
Oh,
One,
yeah.
one is Gearhart Law. Richard Gearhart, my husband, owns Gearhart Law. Stephen Friedman, who is here managing the Zoom, is one of our attorneys, copyright trademark attorney. Very talented. If you ever need any help in that regard, Richard is a talented patent attorney. But Creatorland is our
Yeah.
other sponsor, and they wanted to say something
Yeah,
through you.
yeah, they gave me a little message. So, Creatorland is a professional networking platform, but specifically for the creator economy. Think LinkedIn, but designed for creators, influencers, and professionals who work with them. Creatorland helps creators showcase their work, connect with brands, and find collaboration opportunities. For brands and agencies, it provides powerful tools to discover and work with the right creative talent. The platform already has over 40,000 members and works with over 100 brand partners. So whether you're a creator looking to grow your career or brand looking to scale your creator partnerships, Creatorland is building the infrastructure to make that happen. So you can go to creatorland.com to sign up. And thank you so much, Brian, from Creatorland for sponsoring this and for being an incredible business partner.
Nice.
Perfect.
Okay.
So going back, there was just two other questions I want to make sure we address, and then I know we're coming at the end here. So one is before we get to, I know Carrie, originally we asked, how much content do you create on TikTok currently and other social platforms?
I'm mostly on TikTok, like 98%. Sometimes I'll repurpose onto LinkedIn, but I'm holding that till January as
Okay.
a consistent practice.
Okay.
Okay.
And then this one is a little bit different than when we were talking about, which is in general about podcasting. Do either of you have a recommendation of the best platform to host your podcast on and ways to get ads? And there's a lot of answers to that.
We're going to talk about that next month.
Yeah, exactly.
I reached out to a few of them and none of them decided to sponsor this event. So none of them are getting the.
There you
Yeah.
go.
None of them are gonna-
We're agnostic.
And they're all different. I have podcasts on 3 different platforms, and I put one on Castos today, and I don't like Castos very much. I shouldn't probably say that, but anyway, Stacy and I are next month are going to do the 10 steps to starting a podcast, and I don't agree with the order that they're in, or I pulled them off Buzzsprout, to be perfectly honest with you, and they're great that you have to do all 10, but I think there's a lot that needs to be said about those.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're going to do is take our own experience and share with you what we found works and what we would not do if we were starting over, and some of the industry trends. So that's December.
Right, December 10th, online only. Everybody's going to be snuggled in at home.
Yeah.
It might be cold by then, who knows?
Yes. So, yeah, and like you said, we're going to send out a newsletter that'll recap all of this.
Mhm.
And just thank you to our
Yeah, you're
guests
welcome.
Yeah,
and to
thank you.
personal friends.
And if you want to hear more from them, they are going to be on the Passage to Profit radio show. They're recording tomorrow in the city with us, and it'll come out in a couple weeks after they record. And we're going to be asking them different questions, so we'll take some deep dives at other spots.
Mhm.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you, everyone on
you.
Zoom and in the room.
Thank you. Okay, should we quit recording?
Okay.